folks. Welcome back. Wonderful to have you with us. A thrill and a delight to have you here with us. The Limbaugh Institute for Advanced Conservative Studies. Rush Limbaugh, serving humanity, executing assigned host duties flawlessly, zero mistakes, dulcet tones, vocal vibrations all across the fruited plain. Telephone number 800-282-2882. And the email address, lrushbo@eibnet.com. Mitt Romney in Poland today just picked up the endorsement of Lech Wałęsa. Of course, Obama can outdo that. Hugo Chavez endorsed Obama last week. Did you hear that? Hugo Chavez, a communist leader. Well, socialist leader in Venezuela. Lech Wałęsa has endorsed Romney in Poland. Said he hopes Romney is successful. You know, I had a laugh last, I don't know what, Thursday or Friday. The White House lied about the Winston Churchill bust. I mean, everybody, I really couldn't believe this. Everybody knows that one of the first things Obama did after he was immaculated was to take the Churchill bust and give it back to the British. He did not want it there. He didn't want it in there. And it led to a bunch of speculation as to why. And one of the most popular theories was, which has now, by the way, been debunked by none other than David Maraniss. And that's a funny story into itself. But anyway, David Maraniss has written a biography on Obama because Obama's biography's got a bunch of made-up stuff in it. So Maraniss writes another biography of Obama, this one to try to help him. Instead, what Maraniss has unwittingly done is point out to everybody how Obama made things up in his book. And now Maraniss is scratching his head, all upset, why people like me are highlighting his book to show how Obama didn't tell the truth, where Maraniss thought he was helping Obama straighten a bunch of stuff out. Well, anyway, one of the theories, when Obama gave that bust of Churchill back, was that he was ticked off at the Brits because they had done something with his grandfather during the Mau Mau Revolution. His grandfather in Kenya supposedly imprisoned and supposedly tortured by the Brits back in the colonial days during the Mau Mau Revolution, and Obama had it in for him. And it turned out that's not true because Obama's grandfather was nowhere near the Mau Mau Revolution. And the Brits never captured his grandfather, and they never held his grandfather prisoner, and they never tortured him. Maraniss has uncovered that. That's one of the things Obama made up in his book. So that theory went out the window. But still, so anyway, when this whole Olympics thing came up, with Romney going over there and being critical of the security setup and warning that there was some problems waiting. And by the way, have you seen the empty seats at the Olympics? I'm going to tell you, El Rushbo. I don't even know if I should tell you this. I tried to get some ducats for the swimming. And I was told by people as high up as you could go. And this was 6 months ago. Sorry, Rush, they're gone. There's nothing anybody can do. I mean, not even your friends at NBC. There's nothing anybody can do. And I said, okay, I understand that. You turn it on and there's empty seats everywhere. And it's not just at swimming. There's empty seats everywhere. And now it's a scandal. Nobody knows who those tickets went to. So they're pulling military people in to sit in the empty seats at the gymnastics, at the swimming, and a bunch of other venues. Anyway, the White House, Jay Carney, I think it was, or Dan Pfeiffer, denied that Obama had tossed the Churchill bust out. And everybody remembered that. He got caught, and then they had well, actually, you know what? There are two of those things, and the one that everybody's talking about is still there. It's in the diplomatic reception room right there off the residence elevator. That's not what we're talking about, clown. This was in the Oval Office, and Obama did order it sent out of there. And, in fact, they found it was over the British Embassy. That's where he sent it. Now, nobody knows why. We thought it was... well, it was on loan, but the Brits didn't recall it. The Brits offered Obama a chance to keep it. And Obama rejected the offer and sent it back. But it was already in the Oval Orifice. But it was a gift from Tony Blair to Bush because of our friendly alliance during the Gulf Wars and all that. And so the Brits told Obama, hey, it's there. If you want to keep it, we'd be more than happy. You come get it. You didn't build it. I don't want that. You take it out of here. Get it out. So they got it out of there. It was back over to the British Embassy. Now nobody knows why. Now nobody knows what Obama was ticked off about. But they tried to lie on Friday at the White House and tell everybody it was still there. And it's what they when the first 2 weeks, certainly the first month is one of the first things Obama did. They said never left the White House. It's a crock. By the way, I got a question asked many times in the email. I was talking an hour ago about the media and why they're hiring people who've never done it before, why they stick to their agenda when they're losing money and losing audience. Why do they do it? And how different the business. It really is. It really is. I mean, one of the, when I moved to New York in 1989, believe me, I knew that if I were going to succeed, it was going to have to be real. I was going to have a real audience. I couldn't have a buzz audience. I couldn't have an audience everybody talked about as being big. It was going to have to be provable, and I wanted it to be. I didn't go there to become number 5. I didn't go there to become number 4. I went there to become number 1, and I wanted to be demonstrated and provable with the with ratings, audience research. And it is. And it has been since about 2 years after we started. Meanwhile, a bunch of programs with 1/100th the audience are raved about, and they have buzz about them, and so it's thought that they're bigger. But I didn't want that kind of phoniness. I didn't want that kind of artificiality. But I'm looking at it, and I'm looking at all these people. You hired David Gregory, sorry, no Tim Russert, Christiane Amanpour, to replace, who was it? I forget what was in there, but that show hadn't been what it was since Brinkley left. But these people just fill with their agendas, and the stuff that I've always used to measure success in this business doesn't matter to any of them, including money. They seem to think they should be immune to bottom line concerns. They should be able to have the freedom to operate at whatever loss they incur because their mission is so important. Anyway, people in email said, well, Rush, why don't the owners do something about it? I mean, Jack Welch was CEO of GE when they owned NBC. Why didn't he? Another question, Rush. This actually is a good question. Rush, can't these people see the success of shows like yours and Fox? Don't they see what they have to do? What's so wrong about wanting conservative audience? They don't want a conservative audience because there go the Pulitzers. Folks, they do not want you watching their networks. 20 years ago, a network startup like Fox News would have had everybody copycatting them and trying to steal their talent and trying to steal their management. And everybody would have wanted a piece of that success. This is what's amazing. If they don't want a piece of it, they say it isn't real. They say it's illegitimate. They say, well, it's just a bunch of mind-numbed robot conservatives. It's amazing. You realize if somebody I say this with all seriousness, I know it never happened, but just we have a weekly audience here of anywhere from 20 to 25 million, 12 million in the course of a 3-hour program. You think if somebody were serious about increasing their audience for the nightly news, they might try to do something to get this audience watching it. No way. There is absolutely no, and it's not because I'm not a journalist in their definition. No way. They don't want any part of you watching them. It would be embarrassing. It would be embarrassing for them to have the Fox News audience or the talk radio audience. Anyway, this question about ownership. Why didn't Jack Welch? I mean, Jack Welch is a conservative. Jack Welch knows what the media is doing. Why did he allow NBC to continue to be what it was when it wasn't what his vision was? And the answer to this, folks, you're not going to like. But these general managers, these CEOs, and even the owners of these networks are human beings too, and they know that if they were, for example, let's take say CNN as an example. Let's say that Jeff Bukes, who's the Time Warner CEO, hires somebody from Roger Ailes' staff, says, I want you to turn CNN into Fox. I want you to do whatever they did over there. What would happen is that the vast majority of people at CNN would leave and start ripping the hell out of Bukes off the record. Same thing, if Jack Welch had tried to impose on NBC to try to drop some of the liberal bias and just do it straight. Just do straight news. Just tell us what happened. The hell with what you think about it. Just tell us what happened. Just do the news. You'd have had a bunch of people at NBC who would have gone off the record ripping Welch and telling dastardly stories about what it was like to work there and how much it was destroying the sacred trust and the tradition of NBC News. And they don't want that. These guys, most people are not like me, folks. Most people care about what's said about them in the media. The vast majority of people care what other people say about them. I had to learn a long time ago to not care. Most people do, and it dominates and governs how they operate and decisions that they make. Pure and simple. And, you know, it's a rocky road. I mean, look at me. 24 years ago, just in the modern era, 24 years ago, I left Sacramento. I came to New York, or went to New York. And I wanted to be most successful radio guy ever. I did not go there to be in politics. I didn't go there to be involved in politics. I didn't go there to have any of what's happened other than the radio side stuff. Now look, for whatever percentages, my reputation has been destroyed among, 30-40% of the country? Simply because I have been successful as a conservative. My reputation, mud. And the reputation I've got among most people is so far from the truth, I'd have gone nuts if I cared about it. All I wanted to do was be a radio guy, and I've got 30-40% of the country. I've a totally ruined reputation. Simply because I have been successful and effective as a conservative on the radio, pure and simple. Well, I'm just going to tell you that most people don't want to happen to them what's happened to me. Oh, they would love to take what they think the success is and what they think the trappings are, but they don't want this other stuff, including CEOs and managers and owners. They don't want this kind of assault on their reputations, their image, and their integrity and all that. And they're not as committed to the cause as somebody like I am. They're just not. And most people think that they are, and they're not. Most people care about themselves first, second, third, fourth, fifth, all the way down to number 25. And so that's why there's just general fear of what will be said about people if, I'm using Jack Welch as an example. I could be wrong about him. I don't know. I'm just using him as an example because he's a well-known CEO who's obviously conservative, who ran the parent company of NBC. But you could say this about Les Moonves, that runs CBS. He's not conservative, but if he were, he still wouldn't change CBS because he doesn't want what would be said about him by the people that work at the place. You know, you fire Dan Rather now and he trashes you. That's fine because, you know, Rather blew himself up first. But most people don't want to have happen to them this kind of stuff. So that's why. And then these people in the news business, while they're not witnessing the destruction of their own business, they are making it happen. They are bringing it about. And they're sitting there blaming the internet, blaming social media, or even they blame conservative talk radio for accusing them of bias, or they blame people at Fox or whatever. But they are personally involved in their own demise, their own success, their own professional demise. It's just that simple. No more complicated. But that's why the owners or the CEOs are never going to try to change, because they're afraid of what will be said about them. That if you can't get rid of that, then you're always going to be a prisoner to what others want you to do. And that's where they are. And I got a brief timeout, folks. Much more Elizabeth Warren. A commercial for Elizabeth Warren ran, I think, during the Olympics opening ceremonies. In Massachusetts. Yep. And in that commercial, Elizabeth Warren said America should be more like communist China. And she might win. According to the polls, she's within striking distance. In some polls, she's ahead. And she's got an ad in Massachusetts during the opening ceremony of the Olympics saying that this country needs to be more like communist China. I'll tell you how when we get back.